Chair, and congratulations, General Wilsbach. I appreciated the opportunity we had to visit the other day. Ukraine's Operation Spider's Web demonstrated how vulnerable Russian aircraft left out in the open would be to UAS attacks. The Army has been designated the executive agent for managing the counter-UAS operation within the department, but the Air Force obviously has a very vested interest in timely and effective solutions to this challenge. And I imagine you're particularly familiar with the challenge because of your assignment at Joint Base Langley, Eustis. So tell the committee how you're thinking about the counter-UAS threat at home and abroad, and what coordination do you expect you'll have with the other stakeholders, including the Army, to deal with the threat?
Yes, thank you, Senator. Great to see you again, and thanks for your time in the office the other day. So first thing, there's offensive counter-UAS, and then, there's offensive UAS, which you addressed, and then there's counter-UAS, so the defense side. And they're both things that we have to take on and improve our capability. Let's talk defense first. And you mentioned Langley, which happened in December of 23. The current defensive systems that we have are not adequate for the current threat. So we actually need to acquire systems that work. It's very complex in the U.S. because it's very easy to shoot these down with kinetic weapons, but you obviously wouldn't want to do that in a city like Hampton, Virginia, because the bullets drop on somebody's home. So that's not, so you have to do this non-kinetically. And so the equipment that we purchase for the states has to work. So that's the defensive side. On the offensive side, it's very difficult, and we're seeing the success that Ukraine is having with these, and it's very difficult to defend against these, and they're seeing success in their battle with the Russians by using these systems, and they're very inexpensive. They're on the right side of the cost curve, and we should invest in that capability. The Secretary of War has recently stood up Joint Interagency Task Force 401 that is helping all of the services to understand what is the best equipment to buy. Almost every company that I talk to has a deal they want to sell you a widget that'll do this. It's very difficult to cut through the wheat and the chaff, and so find the wheat in the chaff, and so that's what they're going to help us with, as well as the authorities. That was another lesson learned that came up during the December 23 at Langley, is the complex rules of engagement and authorities that were available to us at the time didn't allow
local law enforcement, FAA,
right?
I mean the whole
Homeland Defense, the FBI, everybody. So yes, so we've got to cut through that and make the rules of engagement and the understanding of the authorities much clearer. So installation.
Do you have a sense how far down the road we are in that? Because we've been saying that, yeah, we need to do that. We recognize after Langley, December 23, that we had this authorities problem, especially in domestic airspace, and we need to coordinate. Do you have a sense of how the stakeholder process is going, or how far down the road we are in figuring this out?
Well, even since before JATA 401 stood up, we had moved, and there was additional authorities, and we had a lot more clarity even before that stood up. We still have some more work to do, and I feel very confident. It's an interagency process. All the stakeholders are in the meeting, and they're making good progress, and I'm confident we're going to get to a good spot in the near future.
So my takeaways is we're making progress. We still have more to do, but also we do not have the platforms that we need to successfully defend against this threat now. So that's something that the committee has to pay attention to as we're thinking about, probably next year's NDAA and beyond. You mentioned the word widget, and I'm going to finish there. You're familiar with the proverb that begins, "For want of a nail"?
Yes.
So for want of a nail, the kingdom was lost is the way it goes. It's attributed to the poet George Herbert or Benjamin Franklin or Shakespeare, but I think we all get what the proverb means. You've talked about this maintenance issue, and one of the issues that you described in particular is parts. If you don't have the right parts, then you can't fix the planes. You can't fix the planes. Folks can't fly. The number of missions my colleagues are talking to you about. What do we need to do to fix this parts problem? Is it all a matter of private industry, or are there things that the Air Force can do with additive manufacturing and other innovations to be its own parts producer?
So yes, we do need to fund the parts. It's generally more economical because the industry will make the parts in bulk than to make them one at a time. That's very expensive. Even if you're doing it yourself, it becomes very expensive. But in crisis, you would like to be able to have that capability. So, for example, if you're deployed to a small island in the Pacific and you're in a conflict, you don't have a week to wait. So having that capability is something to look into.
Thank you. I yield back.